Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brant. Take dos. I am your homie Davvon. As always, if you guys enjoy the content, smash that like button. Either way, let's play. Davvon Jr., Chapter 3, Youth. 17 years of age. Begin. I am prepared for this. I am prepared. I have my hot chocolate on by my side here with a little whipped cream on the top, a little whipped topping. Get that throat nice and soothed. We're gonna do a longer read today. We're gonna do an hour read today, and then I'm gonna be recording for the rest of the week, as I had plans for the rest of the week. So, good luck to the throat. Let's get into it. Bonds of Friendship. You return to the lodging house one last time to gather your belongings for the move to your new home. A young man dressed in the uniform of the military academy greets you by the door. It takes you a moment to recognize Tomas. Your friend locks you in an embrace. Tomas Guerrero. Brent, hey, how are you? I heard about the nasty stuff that went down in the college square. Those damn gentry would do anything to keep lowborn folks under their thumb. Glad the situation resolved itself. As for me, I'm an academy cadet now. Also, happy St. Patrick's Day. He is beaming with pride. You invite him in and chat while you pack. Tomas continues to relay the news as you walk up the stairs. Tomas Guerrero. I made it into the top 10, can you imagine? Did pretty well in sparring in the sciences. It was all thanks to the help you gave me back in school in Anazat. I'll be studying the art of war now, and then it's a quick march to a noble title. How about you? You tell Tomas about what happened over the past few days and of the path you have chosen. He remains quiet as you speak. Both of you realize that you may never see each other again. Tomas Guerrero. You know, Brant, here's what I think. You may have your own path in life, but you're my friend. We gotta make sure our friendship lasts forever, no matter what happens to us. Here, I brought 2 brass rings. If the old tradition is to be believed, both the rings and their wearers will always remain close to each other, no matter what their fates do, or where their fates take them. What do you say? I say... yeah, I'm down. The two of you grew up side by side. Tomas, the audacious, hot-blooded, sharp-tongued boy who used to live next door. You can't imagine your childhood without him. But would it be right to promise him that your friendship will last forever, no matter what happens? 2 rings made of plain brass lie in his open palm. If you wear these rings, you'll be bound by ties of friendship for the rest of your life. Yeah, sure. I'm down. You take one of the rings from his outstretched palm. The 2 of you have walked side by side ever since you were children. Even now, you are walking in the same direction toward a noble title. You as a judge, and Tomas as a warrior. Nothing will ever tarnish your bond. You swear an oath of eternal friendship to Tomas. Tomas solemnly swears the same. You put the brass rings on your pinky, a perfect fit. Tomas follows suit. He starts beaming again. Tomas Guerrero. Now we're friends forever, for all eternity. We gotta celebrate this. Come, I know a place. I gotta show you. Tastiest meat I've ever tried, Brent. My treat. The 2 of you go to a noble salon by the square of Emperor Severin. Surrounded by tobacco smoke and mead bottles, you wag your tongues, recalling the days of your adolescence, and make plans for the future. Nobody knows what could be waiting for you, but you promise you will never lose sight of each other. We are now bound by friendship. Year 1135. Fall. A letter from home. As soon as you're accepted into the Imperial College, you send a letter back home. The family replies quickly. The letter arrives in under a week. Most of it is covered with your father's handwriting. Robert Brant. I am proud of you, my son. I believe your grandfather takes pride in you too. You have brought our family one step closer to being ennobled by the sword. You will make an excellent judge. I have complete faith in your intellect and your will. You shall bring glory to our family. Stefan, congratulations follows your father's. Stefan Brant. Congratulations, brother. The simple folk could only dream of what you have already achieved. You can thank father and grandfather for this opportunity, but was you who proved himself worthy. Once you receive your new lot, you and I will be equals at last. Then some words of praise from Mother and Nathan. Lydia Brant. You have brought your father much joy and made him proud, and I am witness to this. You now walk this path all thanks to him. Yet it saddens me that you did not consider the divine seminary, my son. where you could have dedicated your life to our gods as well as the empire himself, or itself. Nathan Brant. You worked so hard for this. We held a big feast in your honor back home. I hope you achieved all you've ever wanted. And at the very end, there's a small note from your sister, Gloria. Congratulations. Good luck. Yay. Yay. Oh, Gloria is not happy. But, you know, it is what it is. The ball. It is only a few days since you became a student at the college. Your education has barely begun when an amazing piece of news surprises all the students. Every year, Cornelius Tempest, the great chancellor and the emperor's younger brother, grants an audience to all future nobles of the mantle and invites them to a masquerade at his summer palace. The professor's lectures instruct you to look and act your best in order to preserve the college's honor. They tell you more about the ball too. All who attend it from the college must prove themselves with word or deed to the members of the great Archean dynasties that will be present there. This means the reputation of your home province will be at stake too. I hate that when I think that a sentence about to end and then I act like it's about to end, like I tail off at the end of my sentence, and then it continues to go and it sounds like a disjointed sentence. I apologize. It's time to get ready. You order a proper suit for the occasion and a mask to go with it. It looks simple, but by no means plain. It only hides your eyes. The day comes. You spend an entire morning preparing for the ball. Your fellow students give you hints about how to attach the cuffs, keep the collar straight, and make sure your hair remains coiffed for the entire night. Soon, the carriage starts flocking to Cornelius Tempest's summer palace. The tall, ornate outer fence surrounds a sprawling garden in full bloom. The marble-paved driveway is so wide it can accommodate 2 rows of carriages. You and your fellow students walk up the massive stairs to the front door of the palace. You seem tiny and incongruous against the background of this scenic grandeur. Grandeur? Grandeur. Excuse me, 1 second. Oh, my nose is stuffy again. The master of ceremonies instruct all newcomers to seek this province's coat of arms. You see the banner of Magra from far away, depicting the silver tree digging its roots into the murky gray soil. Below it is a banner bearing the coat of arms of the Charmelanditus dynasty. It turns out the students from the college were not the only ones invited to this party. You see academy cadets lined up beneath the banners too, and Tomas is among them. A wide grin appears on his face when he sees you go under the banner of Magra. Tomas Hierro. I just knew you'd be here today, pal. What can I say? Congratulations, student. As for me, I'm not so bad off myself, see? The military academy is father and mother to me now. His merry speech is interrupted by a tall, proud Archean in a heavy cloak. You recognize him. He is Dorius Otten, Sophia's former master. Dorius Otten. Make way for your commander, soldiery. The last time you saw Otten, he was searching the back streets of Anazot by your house for a girl servant, but now the young Archean's uniform betrays his high standings. He is young, yet he is already the province's commander. Who put him in charge of all the military forces of Magra at such a young age? Tomas Guerrero. What's wrong? You know him or something? A brief description of Otten is enough to wipe the smile off his face. You see no other high-ranking officials bearing the colors of Magra at this party. It seems Dorius Otten will be the main representative of your province tonight. You watch the other college students and academy cadets line up under the provincial banners. The blue and silver banner of Archnia, the Emperor's own province, is in the very center of the hall. Judging by the hilts jutting out from beneath their belts, many of those who surround that banner are nobles of the sword. Tomas is clearly jealous. The group from Archnia stands proudly, ennobled by its iconic and dignified history. The Archean race and the Empire originated in their very lands. A sizable group of students stand under the banner of Monia, a wealthy agricultural province, signified by yellow grains on a field of ore. The wealth of the young men beneath this banner is plain to see. Their attire is on par with the Archeans in terms of luxury, and perhaps even more vibrant in terms of color. The most numerous groups at the party stands under the banner of Illyria, a yellow griffin against on a field of azure. All the Illyrians are clothed in well-tailored suits with a minimum of decoration. Some of them wear gloves. Most of them come from wealthy industrial families. And it seems many of them would feel more at ease in their family factories than at noble parties like this one. 3 banners represent the northern provinces of Fiona, Hermia, and Constanta. These banners, like the groups associated with them, stand together. The Royal Tempest dynasty oversees all 3 of them. The students and cadets are clearly well off, yet they are dressed in modest, functional garments to honor the austere traditions of the North. And finally, the smallest of the groups is represented by an open book against a field of argent, Astinia, homeland of the Diamond Dynasty. By the order of Patriarch Junius Diamond, the open book of the new faith has been added to the banner only recently. Nearly all the young men beneath this banner are clothed in academy uniforms. They wear no adornments, but are clad impeccably, with nary a button undone, the embodiment of rigor and restraint. The master of ceremonies signals the beginning of the party. It is time for dancing. The first dance is a minuet. A tradition calls for everyone to dance. Harpsichord music fills the hall. The academy cadets waste no time finding dance partners and soon already making the fluid first steps of the minuet. You take a look around. One of the young ladies representing Magra catches your eye. She is slender, like all Archeans, and clothed in a yellow dress embroidered with emerald green, her face hidden behind a full mask decorated with bright green feathers. What happens next seems almost unbelievable. The enigmatic lady walks towards you. The way she looks at you, the way she walks. The black eyes from behind the mask watch you closely. She tilts her head. There are no words, but you feel there is a question. Everyone in the hall is startled by sudden noise. You look behind you and see Tomas getting up off the floor, his face a grimace of rage. Dorius Otten stands before him, eyeing him with disgust. His arm rests on the hilt of his sword. Dorius Otten. Who allowed this clumsy commoner inside the great chancellor's palace? Its noble masters are trying to dance and it's getting underfoot. Tomas looks like he's about to explode in Otten's face, but the smug Archean's sword is a clear threat. Your friend's rage gets the better of him, he will end up in trouble. The enigmatic Archean beauty, however, quickly loses all interest in their quarrel. She comes even closer to you, expecting you to invite her to a dance. So now the real question is, what do I do here? Do I draw Otten's ire upon myself or dance with the mysterious lady? I think I danced with the mysterious lady last time, which turned out to be Octavia Melanditus, so that's what we're going to do. You turn your head towards the Archean beauty and offer her your hand, taking care not to rush your movements. A moment later, her fingers gracefully come to rest in yours. The masked lady's touch feels electric against your skin. You walk together toward the center of the hall, where the other couples are already dancing. You bow and she makes a curtsy. Her hands are incredibly thin. They seem so delicate, you fear you might snap them if you squeeze too hard. You adjust to her steps, counting the rhythm of the music. Your lady for the dance is an Archean, a noble born to rule. Yet this is a dance where you must take the lead. As you walk around her, your eyes catch an embroidered ornament on the arm of her dress. You spy many thin emerald threads, all interwoven into a pattern of interlocking snakes. This young woman is Octavia Melanditus, daughter to the Archduke of your home province. The minuet ends. You bow to the lady and offer to accompany her wherever she chooses before the next dance. Octavia Melanditus. Why then, be so kind as to accompany me for another dance, please. Before you know it, the night is almost over. Octavia will not let you go, but she does not accept another invitation until she has danced with you 3 times. You spot Tomas in the crowd during a break. He catches your eye and salutes you with a wine glass. Judging from his lopsided grin, Otten must have had him removed from the dance floor. But any concern for your friend is forgotten when you see the beautiful Octavia approaching you again. Hey, she remembers me. Hey, Tomas is not happy with me. Hey, we got more willpower. Why is it that like a positive relationship with like characters in the game is sympathy? Why is that a positive relationship? Why do they sympathize with me? Or feel sympathy for me? His plight seems worse than mine. Year 1136, youth, 18 years of age. Year 1136, winter, the trial of the 50. You have lived another year in the capital. Eterna has been shaken by what is now known as the trial of the 50. 50 people stand trial all at once, all prominent members of several political circles. They are accused of treason and conspiracy against the crown. The accused spoke in favor of reducing the power of the nobles and granting more rights to the common estate. There was no mention of rebellion, yet those words alone were enough to indict them. Every session of the trial is open to the public. It is a show of power made to discourage people from forming such circles ever again. You attend one of these lessons. The 50 face their verdict: forced labor in the mines of Magra and Illyria for regular members, and true death for the leaders, 6 men and 1 woman. Their public execution takes place in the central square of Eterna. You remember the woman. Her name was Annie Serin. She made a speech before her execution. A young woman, not too tall, her face almost plain, with long bangs over her eyes. She looks calm, even at this moment. You cannot believe she's about to leave this world forever. Annie Serin takes a look around before she speaks. Her voice is quiet, but you are close enough to hear every single word. She says she is happy to give her lives fighting for the rights of the people. Her cause will never die, Annie claims. Others like her will continue their work for the hiding, for their cause is right and just. She is dragged away to the others. They put a sack over her head and tighten a noose around her neck. A hand yanks on the lever, and the 7 dangle in the air. Their feet tremble at first, then grow still. There are gasps and cries of discontent in the crowd. Power -1. Struggle for power. Discontent. Next page. Sir L. Croix's lesson. Your studies at the Imperial College may have begun with a luxurious party, but soon you settle into a routine of lesson after lesson. Along with dozens of other future judges, you spend hours listening to lectures in spacious college halls with high ceilings. You study imperial law and legislation, analyzing every technicality and interpretation. The subjects only grow tougher, and the instructors grow ever more demanding as your lessons continue. We'll take a little sip of the old hot cocoa here. Yet law is not the only thing you study. There are other disciplines as well, such as rhetoric and orthography. A true judge must have a perfect command of both the spoken and written word. Washing dark blue ink off your fingers becomes an indelible part of your daily routine. Of all your classes, you find the fencing lessons particularly exciting. Every lesson covers your bodies with more cuts and bruises and makes your muscles ache from exertion, but your childhood dream is worth it. Then finally, there comes a short break in your studies, a handful of days for rest and recreation. You meet Tomas to discuss how you are going to spend this time. Tomas Guerrero. You're coming with me tonight. No excuses, Brant. We'll be paying a visit to our mentor, Baron L. Croix. It's time you learned a thing or two about how we do things in the military. Your friend looks very cunning and pleased with himself when he says this. With a sigh. You change out of your college uniform and into your best clothes and follow him. Tomas rushes you to a 2-story house somewhere in a noble neighborhood in the capital. Its windows are open and you can hear people talking over each other. The house's sitting room is filled with young people. At least 24 men, almost all of them academy cadets. In the middle of the sitting room is an armchair, and in this armchair is a gentleman wearing the uniform of an Imperial Legion officer, smoking a pipe. His thick hair falls over his large, observant eyes. Baron L. Croix welcomes the two of you with a slight nod and continues his speech while everyone listens respectfully. Gunter L. Croix. As I was saying, young men, I firmly believe that the days when all the military glory of the Empire belonged to the Archean dynasties are long gone. Human nobles have been serving the Emperor at least as well as the Archean nobles for a long time now. Still, the Archeans keep acting like their origins are more important than honor and service to the crown. Take the Charmelanditus dynasty, for example. The Archdukes of Magra. Long ago, their leader Charmelanditus fomented a rebellion against the rule of the Tempests and the Twins' faith. He sucked all life from his own land, doomed thousands of his own subjects. Yet the Charmelanditus dynasty still rules over Magra like nothing ever happened. Then suddenly, Sir L. Croix flashes a cunning grin. Gunter L. Croix. I think this calls for a test of your strategic thinking, young men. But first, let me refresh your memory on the Rebellion of Charmelanditus. It may seem surprising, but we have him to thank for our current status. He was the first to ennoble humans, an act of unprecedented insolence, but to give the rebellious dukes immense support in his province. He risked his own reputation and title to make himself stronger thanks to humans, and in that, succeeded. No one had ever dared challenge the rule of the Archeans and Tempests before, but the Rebellion of Magra changed everything. Humans became a part of the nobility. We got a taste of the power only the Archeans could wield before. And unless I'm mistaken, most nobles in the Empire these days are human. Why, we outnumber the members of the Arcane dynasties dozens of times over. So, Charmelanditus had complete rule and control over the lands of Magra. He had the loyalty of his noble human subjects, and he had the loyalty of the mages and witches who fled to Anazat, the only place in the Empire where they could hide from the Church. The Archduke of Magra had everything he needed to win, and yet two pivotal changes brought him down. First of all, he cast a magic spell that incinerated the entire province. It certainly stopped the Imperial legions in their track, but the population of Magra would no longer side with Charmelanditus after that. Second, the clergy struck at the rebellious Duke with the power of the twins. His magic was gone, and his main advantage was no more. Many fled, but as you know, still took the Empire, an entire month of siege before the palace in Anazat was taken. After the Rebellion of Magra, the Empire changed drastically, and most importantly, humans finally received their lawful right to be ennobled. And I'd like to stress that in particular, ennobled by birth, but by virtue of their own knowledge and talent. History, young man, is more than just a memory of the past. It is also a lesson for our future. I believe that part of our history proves my point, and now a test. Tell me, you're among the Imperial strategists during the rebellion. What would you have done? How would you have fought in an army as powerful as Charmelanditus? With this, Sir Elcroy leans back in his armchair and takes a pull from his pipe while the cadets start discussing. Some take no time to say they cannot believe Sir Elcroy thinks humans were first ennobled by serving the rebellious Duke. Others say the prolonged palace siege might have made a mistake. Its story the palace would have been a better choice. Soon ideas start flying. Some cause only laughter, while others lead to debate. They're discussing the past of Anazat, the past of your hometown. You cannot possibly stay silent right now. If you were in command of the Imperial legions back then, what would you have done? Based on what you know about the Rebellion of Magra, you see three potential strategies. The first involves calling upon the twins' miracles to rob Melandius of magic and render him powerless. The second entails putting your faith in the discipline and valor of the army for a frontal assault. The third means drawing out the siege while making the enemy's life as hard as possible through cunning. Which of these three strategies would you have chosen? I think I would have drawn out a siege. I want to be cunning in my choices. I want more cunning. You decide it is time for you to answer Sir Elcroy. The proper way to bring down the castle of Anazat would have been through a prolonged siege, you say. The lands of Magra could no longer feed the warriors of Charmelanditus at that stage of the rebellion, and when their supplies eventually ran out, they would have opened the gate from the inside. Sir Elcroy looks at you, studying you attentively. Gunter Elcroy, I agree with what you're saying, young Brante. In a sense, had the Imperial forces done that, they would have lost fewer men and kept the palace of Anazat intact. Yet you are missing my point here. Melandius' armies would have continued fighting, even emaciated by the siege, even with their numbers dwindling. True, some did flee, but those who stayed to defend the city and the castle, even after the Imperial forces broke in, remained loyal to their lord until the very end. Long ago, only Arcanians had the right to wield weapons and wage war, but now humans can prove their merit and earn the same right, humans like ourselves. And the present empire has grown even stronger thanks to its new warriors and functionaries. These days, humans can judge and rule and create. The terrors wrought by the rebellious Duke are undeniable, yet his rebellion created new possibilities for all of us. And this, young man, is the moral of the story. Charmelanditus was defeated, but not by the clergy and their prayers, and not even by the noble militias assembled by other archdukes. He was vanquished by the Imperial legions, a unified army with a clear regulations and ranks and a clear chain of command. An army that is strong in discipline and loyalty to the Emperor. His eyes finally moved away from you and back to the rest of the young men in the hall, but nobody else dares to argue with the battle-hardened officer. The evening continues. Sir Elcroy shares some of his war stories, each more astounding than the last. For the rest of the night, you are out of the Baron's center of attention, and so you join Tomas and the other cadets in sipping wine and enjoying his tales. You return to the college long after midnight. You often recall Baron Elcroy's story about the Rebellion of Charmelanditus after that. The rebellious Duke lost the war, and yet he brought about drastic changes for humans and the entire empire. Scheming +1, yay! Valor +1, yay! Victory clap. Year 1136. Summer. Letters from home. There are days when you receive letters from home. Father's writing is very reserved. He mostly discusses events and work in Magra and writes very little about the family. Robert Brant. It makes me proud that I have managed to teach Stefan how to handle our affairs at home. Your older brother behaves impeccably at the society balls and receptions that we host. He has already made several crucial acquaintances. But Gloria has a different opinion of Stefan. She thinks your older brother is taking more and more after grandfather. Gloria. Stefan is a lot like grandfather. It's in his manners, his posture, his voice. He even dresses just like him. He used to be aloof around me. We barely talked in the past, but now he always blames me and tears me apart. I can't take it anymore. He walks all over me all the time and treats me like a housemaid. Mother writes to you. From her letters, you learn that Nathan just barely managed to graduate from school. Lydia Brandt. Makes me sad to admit that Nathan has done none of the talents you have. The other day, he told me he won't even try to study in the capital. He says he won't be able to pass the exams. I find solace only in the nights Nathan and I spend together reading the scriptures and our walks to the church by the silver tree. Accompanies me every time. Your sister and younger brother write about Mother too. They say the same thing about her health. She now spends more time locked away in her chambers to brood. Gloria does her best to accompany Mother when she leaves home, and Nathan's letters mentions her steps echoing the halls in the middle of the night. There is one more thing Nathan mentions in his letters. Stefan and Gloria have been fighting very often these days. Brant. Stefan always tries to get under Gloria's skin, and she answers him in kind. Then Stefan calls her a lowly commoner to make her shut up. You always tremble in excitement each time you see a new letter with the seal of your home province. Your fate is still bound tightly to your families, no matter the distance between you. Stefan Brandt apparently sent me a letter, is unhappy with me. Gloria also sent me a letter and is unhappy with me. Nathan Brandt is also sending me a letter and is unhappy with me. Imagine that. They send me letters and they think less of me. The first case. You will become a judge one day, so you are set to the prefecture of Eterna to be mentored by the more experienced colleague. Your mentor is a judge of considerable age, a noble of the mantle with a proud bearing about him. He never misses a chance to remind you that being mentored by such an experienced man of office is a great honor. Your mentor entrusts you with his minor cases, and to his great joy, his night shift. Another night begins. The office is growing darker. You are still there, zealously filling out the paperwork for the day. A petty theft, a verbal assault against a noble of the sword by a commoner, a fine for the parents of children who covered an imperial institution with obscene drawings. Petty cases, all of them, but they are real cases a judge has to face. And so you sit there carefully comparing complaints, statements, and witness testimony. Then the door of your office swings open. A guard drags in a provocatively dressed girl. Her golden hair is undone and her makeup is fiery red. Girls like her sell their bodies in houses of ill repute. The next to enter the office is a stout priest, his face adorned by a nose of remarkable shape and a huge wart on his cheek. By a nose of remarkable shape. Okay, you do your best to avoid staring at it. Mole, mole, mole. The guard gives you his report. The girl was arrested with a certain gentleman in the park by the Temple of the Twins. They're commuting acts of carnality, an affront to the faith. The huffing and puffing priest interrupts him and starts yelling. He saw her doing magic, he did. The gentleman was enthralled by the girl. He was glowing like a lamppost. You gesture for the priest to stay quiet and ask if the guard can prove this. The guard only shrugs. He didn't see anyone glowing. He arrested the girl for her sacrilegious conduct alone. The man in her company was a noble, so the guard couldn't bring himself to arrest him. He does, however, remember his name. The priest is huffing and puffing even louder now. It was magic, he screams. You must refer this case to the Inquisition. This witch was loose on the streets of the Empire's illustrious capital, seducing good men with her vile charms. The girl stays quiet all the while. Her eyes are emerald green, twinkling with gold as she looks at you. Magic. When she does speak, her voice is soft, like smooth velvet. Alis. My name is Alis, Your Honor. All I did was obey the noble gentleman's wish. He wanted my affection right by the temple, and I dared not oppose him. I did not defy my lot, did I? The wench looks up and meets your gaze as she says these words. Her eyes reflect the candlelight in the dusk, sending sparks of gold dancing across the walls. The guard stands awkwardly by the door, sighing. The priest goes off on another rant. You tell him to shut the hell up. The day is not over yet. You must decide how to resolve this unusual case on your own. The law says a judge must investigate all circumstances related to a case. You know the name of the nobleman who was seen with this girl in the throes of passion. The guard was afraid to question him, but you are a future nobleman yourself, a young judge. Surely you can find a way to resolve this matter with discretion and get the information you need from the nobleman. But perhaps the suspicious lady of evening, Alis, is at the heart of the matter. You have no doubt she will reveal her true colors if you question her. If the priest was right about her using magic, the girl's fate is sealed. Alis, Your Honor. You look up from your desk and into the eyes of the beautiful Alis, and you suddenly feel as though the divine light is shining upon you. This emotion flows like a river. It lifts you up. This is more than beauty, more than passion. This is much, much more. Will you resist this call, or will you heed it? Well, last time we found the nobleman and we released her. I think I want to try something different. And maybe we'll get some points out of this. Let's see what happens. You dismiss the priest and the guard and begin questioning Alis. You are alone with the harlot now. Traces lines on your table, absent-mindedly with her finger. Her dress still reflects the candlelight, scattering it into golden specks across the walls of the office. You sense something unnatural in these sparks of gold. You have seen these sparks before, once, as a youth. You recall a sunset in Anazat, an abandoned house, and Sophia's deep blue eyes. You cannot help but share the priest's concern. The questioning begins. You ask Alis how she makes a living. Alis. Your Honor, my dream is to become an actress and join the Imperial Theatre. But I am just a poor girl of low birth. How else am I supposed to earn my keep? Her trade is none of your concern, you explain. However, engaging in depravity next to a holy site is an affront to the twins. Alis smiles craftily, and fire flashes in her eyes. The light in her eye beckons, promising to take you away somewhere far, far away. You quietly pray to the younger to deliver you from this temptation for the sake of justice. Alis. An affront to the gods? On the contrary, Your Honor. I serve the twins. Their love flows within me, and I grant it to anyone who asks. Alis rises from her chair, licensed. She is glowing, literally. The light emanating from her is now bright enough to illuminate the entire room. Alis. This is neither my vice nor my folly, Your Honor. It is the twins' will that I be born this way. I do not control people. I do not cloud their minds. All I do with my gifts is to help them feel the love of our gods, which they have forgotten. And the gods themselves bless me for this. Had the twins hated magic as much as the Inquisition pretends, they have never allowed me to be born. This is a confession. Alis is a witch. Does she not realize the fate that must await all witches? Alis. Yes, I was born a witch. What am I supposed to do, Your Honor? Keep myself burned at the stake by the Inquisition, or become their mindless collared puppet? Is that how I'm supposed to find my way to the peak? No! I will live my life my way, and if the twins judge me guilty in the hereafter for bringing their love to the people, then so be it. The case is closed. The girl is a witch who uses her sorcery to beguile the mind. She confessed herself, as much herself. You must send for the Inquisition now. There is no other way. Such is the law. Please give me a choice not to. Alis, I hoped you could see it, Sir Brante. I hoped you could recognize their love when it touches you. I feel sorry for you. No. Okay, so I wanted to interrogate her to see a different ending, but thought I would have another choice, as in to let her go with the knowledge that she is indeed potent with magic. You know what I'm saying? I wanted her to be released with the knowledge that I had. Oh well. It is what it is. That's what I get for playing no future prediction mode or whatever it was, where I don't see the repercussions of my choices. Stern-looking priests enter your office, accompanied by armed champions of faith. The inquisitors examine the girl closely, study your notes, and thank you for catching the witch. The champions of faith lock a collar around Aelis's neck. The golden glow in her eyes is gone. 3 days later, pretty Aelis is burned at the stake in Majesty Square. God. I'm actually not happy. At all. Can I take that back yet? How far back can I go? How far back? Ah. Well, we got more manipulation, more theology, and less willpower. We got the points we needed out of it. At least, I guess, sort of. Year 1137, youth, 19 years. Year 1137, summer, the overseer of Magra. 2 major events take place while you are busy living your life. Firstly, Cornelius Tempest is no longer the great chancellor of the empire. He has been ousted and sent back to his province. His replacement is the Archduke of Monia, Agerius Monrogue, the same Monrogue who sought to shut down the college. The most powerful lord in the realm finally convinced the emperor that his brother Cornelius was giving too much freedom to the lowborn. Now the policies of the empire will be reversed. Many fear the new great chancellor will destroy the imperial code of laws and other achievements of Cornelius. There are cautious rumors among the people. They say the great chancellor is going to revoke the right of the common lot to be ennobled by the mantle. Secondly, Magra, your homeland now has a new overseer, Gaius Tempest, the other brother of Emperor Uther II. Usually the overseer of a province is its archduke. After all, it makes sense for the province's most powerful noble to impart the emperor's will to the locals. Yet, now this age-old tradition has been broken, and to no one's surprise, Archduke Tarquinius Melanitus is absolutely furious. Gaius Tempest used to be the main supporter of his brother, former Great Chancellor Cornelius Tempest. The nobles at the Emperor's court say that this is a stratagem by the Archean gentry who want Gaius removed from court affairs along with Cornelius. Either way, Gaius Tempest and Tarquinius Melanitus will be at each other's throats over the province. This does not bode well for their future. Only one thing is clear. Magra, your home province, is about to face great challenges. Power +1, order +1, yay! Ba-ba-da-ba. A great feast for all. The capital is preparing for a great celebration, the coming of age of Gerion Tempest, heir to the throne. The streets are being cleaned, and the lowborn merchants are gone from the squares, and flags and flower garlands have appeared on the buildings. By the Emperor's decree, everyone will celebrate for the next 3 days. Eterna is abuzz. A festive procession starts on the streets. Students from the college and cadets from the military academy will be there to show their gratitude to the Emperor's family for entrusting them with the power they yield. Wield. Ribbons and flags flutter in the wind. Streets are scrubbed clean, and the scent of flowers fills the air. You march side by side with Tomas, carrying the banner of your province. Your friend's brown hair is unusually well combed today. He waves to every girl you see on the streets as you pass by. They giggle shyly, and some of them wave back. Tomas Guerrero. Did you see that, pal? Look at that beauty. She just smiled at me. Now this is what I call living. I just love parades. The Tempest royal family observes a slowly approaching parade from the balcony of the Imperial Palace. They are joined by the Empire's highest dignitaries and provincial overseers. You see Emperor Uther II with your own eyes, there, high above, yet so close. The columns come to a halt at the balcony and salute the Emperor with the mottos of the college and the academy. You join the other college students in crying, "Learning is strength, learning is will." The Emperor raises his hand in a gesture of benevolent greeting. His voice echoes across the square. Uther, the Tempest II. I accept your gratitude, my loyal subjects. Take pride as you wield your knowledge and valor in service of the Empire. All who are worthy will be ennobled by the mantle, by my grace. The future nobles around you cheer the Emperor's words, but their jubilation gives way to murmurs of discontent when Archduke Monrogue, the great Chancellor of the Empire, steps onto the balcony. Everyone here remembers all too well how the Archduke attempted to shut down the college by force. Still, the Archduke is the de facto leader of the Arcanian gentry. He is a force to be reckoned with, even for the Emperor, and so he is the great Chancellor now. Agerius Monrogue. Hail, your Emperor. Common folk, be forever obedient and grateful for the good graces you do not deserve by birth. The Archduke does not even bother to hide his contempt for the gathering below. Booed by the crowd, he rejoins the dignitaries in the back row. You notice one of them, a slender, elegant figure under an emerald banner with a black snake. She is Octavia Melanditus, daughter to the Archduke of Magra. Tomas Guerrero. Now that's new. You've noticed Octavia too, eh? Our Archduke Melanditus sent his daughter in his stead. That's a sign of disrespect for the Emperor if I've ever seen one. Is he so enraged because he's no longer the overseer of Magra? I mean, you can imagine his surprise. That's never happened before. But then everyone grows silent. A young, slender Arcane with a shy smile comes forth. There are whispers in the crowd. That's Prince Gerion, heir to the throne, ward of Cornelius, promise and hope for the common people. To the left of Gerion is his younger brother Flavius. He is baffled at the sight of the parade below, too young to process what he is seeing. Yo, those outfits have to be really, really, like, uncomfortably warm. Gerion Tempest. May the twins be kind to you, my future subjects. I promise to repay you in kind and help you prosper in your loyal service to the Empire. Exalted by these words, the future nobles roar as one. All hail Prince Gerion! Another figure steps into view next to the heir. He is an Arctian, elegantly dressed, and his mantle bears the Tempest colors. He raises his arms, about to make a speech. Tomas Guerrero. Hey look, that's Gaius Tempest, the Emperor's brother, and the new overseer of Magra, by the by. It seems the Arcanian elders want him as far from the throne as possible, just like his older brother, Cornelius. Those two have been promising too many freedoms to commoners like you and me. Gaius Tempest. Long live Prince Gerion, students of the college, cadets of the academy. Time and again you've proven yourselves to the Empire by word and deed. Today is a day of great celebration, and in honor of Prince Gerion, you must ask the Emperor to guarantee forever the right to distinguished common folk to be ennobled by the mantle. So ask now. The students and cadets freeze in hesitation. They exchange glances, unsure whether to follow the words of the Emperor's own brother. On the balcony high above, Prince Gerion also remains still, awaiting a reaction from the crowd. Archduke Monrogue briskly steps into view once more. He takes several seconds to observe the crowd before he speaks. Agerius Monrogue. Imperial subjects, what the Emperor's brother wishes to say is that you must always remember that you owe your status to the Tempest dynasty. The Emperor accepts your gratitude and sends you off with his blessing. You may leave now, but the columns stay where they are. Take a little drink here quick. Tomas Guerrero. That's not what the Emperor Gaius Tempest said. Let the Emperor hear us. The law. We ask for the law. Commotion and murmurs spread over the crowd as some of the future nobles refuse to follow the Archduke's orders. There are shouts heard here and there. The law. We ask for the law. The academy officers and teachers of the college urge them to fall in line and resume the parade. But tension is rising. The crowd slowly grows enraged and unruly. You have to decide where you stand. Ah! I should not have... Okay, so the mistake of interrogating the witch in the last one does not give me enough willpower in order to demand our rights. Oh, I don't have enough valor. I'm incredibly sad. I guess we'll bide our time. You decide to wait while others demand a new law, and still others try to restore order. Nobody knows how this will end. In the meantime, you conserve your energy and watch the events unfold. The chants grow louder with every second. The law! The law! Academy officers are trying to shout the vocal cadets and students into submission and order you back into the procession, but they are barely heard above your chant. Still, some submit and form back into columns. But the impassioned chant continues, and you find yourself in the very heart of the chanting crowd. Tomas walks right past you, waving his arms wildly, calling for you to join the chant. Tomas Guerrero. The law! The law! But you do not respond, and Tomas gives up on you. He moves to the center of the square where the vocal future nobles are gathering. An Imperial Guard cavalry regiment emerges from the palace. They start slowly advancing on the crowd, hands on their swords, pushing people out of the square. The end of this conflict is clear. Another moment and the cavalry will crush the disobedient youths. You swiftly maneuver away from the danger and rejoin your semblance of a column in the procession. The orders of academy officers and cadets finally have some effect. Most students submit and return to their columns. The commotion in the square is quelled. The cavalry withdraws. Emperor Uther II appears on the balcony again. Archduke Monroe, the Emperor's great chancellor, stands by his side. The square falls silent at the sight of the sovereign. Uther Tempest II. My subjects, I can see how overjoyed you are for Prince Jerian, but your show of reverence and gratitude is clear enough. Now follow the great chancellor's order and obey my will. Continue the parade and sing the praises of the Tempest dynasty that has given you so much. The square obediently lines up into columns once again. The bout of defiance is in the past now, and they resume the festive parade through the city streets. You march along with your column. You steered clear of the commotion and all the useless rebellion. Now everything is back as it should be. Glory to the Emperor Uther. Glory to Prince Jerian. Power -1. Willpower +10. That, well, shoot. The Way of the Sword. Your studies at the college come easily to you. Only now do you realize the importance of all the lessons you had to endure as a child at father's expense. Month after month, you study the judge's trade down to the smallest details, growing more confident in your new calling with every lecture. But there is more to your education than the judge's trade and imperial law. You also learn manners and courtly etiquette, and a poetry on composition and even fencing. On some days, you go with Tomas to a deserted patch of land to practice with the sword. Then finally, the day of your judge's final exam comes. You send your test results to father, and he replies with an appointment to a judge's office at the prefecture of Magra. Now you have a new life and a new profession back home. You will return to your hometown as a judge. It is early morning at the great temple of the twins. Your heart skips a beat as you step inside the temple. It feels like that day from your childhood again. The priest is standing at the altar, and the temple is It feels like that day from your childhood again. The priest is standing at the altar, and the temple is divided into two halves. But you are no longer a frightened little child anymore. You are now a grown man who's about to become a noble. The floor on the common side is there to cause pain. You feel the jagged edges even through the soles of your boots. The pain marks your final few seconds as a commoner. The priest stands before you. You kneel again, but there's warm, smooth marble under your knees. You hear the words spoken above your head. From this day forth, your lot is strength and will. From this day forth, you will rule and fight and pursue the arts. Now rise, noble. You place your lips on the smooth steel of the sword, and when you rise again, you realize that the trembling you felt ever since your first sacrament is now completely gone. You arise a new man, your every motion now uncannily accurate, your thoughts surprisingly fresh, your muscles ready to face the fight. This day feels worthy of a poem, and now you can compose one if you wish. You touch your back. The mark of the lash from your previous sacrament is gone completely, erased forever. You hurry from the sacrament back to your room at the college. Your father's gift awaits you there. A sword. Your very own sword. Now, to celebrate, all college students are invited to the college tournament, then a party. The sword feels wonderful in your hand, a promise of future victories. The tournament begins. The stands are loud with anticipation. Never in your entire life you have seen so many beautiful, noble ladies in one place. But there is only one who attracts everybody's attention. The raven-haired, black-eyed Octavia Melanides, the daughter to the Archduke of Magra, has graced the tournament with a visit. She is wearing a dress of emerald green, her austere hairdo immaculate. She is surrounded by her ladies-in-waiting, all beauties in their own right. When a noble enters the tournament, he must announce the name of the lady whose honor he is fighting for. Many shout the name of their loved ones in the stalls. You know that many would fight for Octavia Melanides, but the onus of the responsibility is too great. You take a few jabs with the sword, warming up for the fight soon. Soon it is your turn. All eyes are on you now. The young lady Octavia hides her face behind the hand fan, yet her eyes watch you out of curiosity. Yeah, sure, let's do it again. You approach the stalls and shout clearly and loudly, "You will fight for the honor of the young Duchess Octavia Melanides." Duchess, I guess that works for her. Slowly, she rises from her seat. The stalls grow quiet. You suffer defeat after such insolent words. You may face the ire of one of the ancient Archean dynasties. Which one is she up here? Even here? Oh, she must not. Oh, that's her right there. Find Waldo in the stands. Octavia Melanides, Sir Davvon Jr. Brante. How do I know this name? Ah, yes, you have already dared to draw my attention once. In memory of our amusing encounter, I will grant you the honor of fighting in my name. Not grace it. The stalls explode with applause, celebrating your courage. The first fight begins. The rules are the same as any noble duel. Whoever draws first blood wins. Your first opponent does not put up much of a fight. A few minutes later, he misses a jab to the thigh. Your shirt is soaked with sweat. The hilt of the sword feels slippery in your wet fingers. From behind her emerald hand fan, Octavia watches you closely from the seat. You prevail in 3 fights in a row and prepare to face a new opponent. You know him well. He was mentored at the prefecture of Eterna after you. He is an unusually quick and nimble fighter. He catches you with a feint and follows it up with a light jab to the side. Fair enough. 3 victories. Not bad. You salute Octavia Melanides with your sword, and she gracefully accepts your gesture. Let's go. Octavia Melanides, you have proven yourself well, Sir Brante. Who knew you could become a noble and you would meet again here in the capital of the Empire? I must say, I am amazed. The eyes of the young Archduchess follow you even as you leave the arena. You will remember this day for the rest of your life, the day when you became a noble. Yay! She is intrigued and her diplomacy is +1. Graduated from the college, you have earned the judge's mantle and the noble title. Flip the page. Year 1137. Winter. Diamond stands trial. Just before you leave the capital, you overhear something unusual on the street. Junius Diamond, Patriarch of Vestinia and one of the leaders of the new faith, will stand trial before a church tribunal. The Order of the Inquisition has accused Patriarch Junius of patronizing blasphemous witches and disseminating heresy. The Holy Tribunal claims that Junius Diamond was scheming to free all witches and sorcerers from the collars that fetter their accursed powers. And what's worse, the Patriarch was also accused of forming the Lawless, a dangerous secret society based in the imperial capital. Members of this society have been assaulting inquisitors and priests of the church, as well as freeing witches from the cleansing fire and helping them escape the holy law. Now the Patriarch must face the Holy Tribunal of the Inquisition in Eterna. By all accounts, this is a devastating blow to the new faith, and at the end of the day, for Junius Diamond himself. The Inquisition will make the most of this opportunity to rid the land of this unwelcome Patriarch who dared to shake the foundation of the old faith. But then comes the sudden news of Patriarch Junius's reply to the Holy Tribunal. It is no less stunning than the accusation. Patriarch Junius. These words are nothing but lies. I will say this to anyone who dares to bring these accusations against me in person. But I want those hypocrites to bear the full weight of their responsibility for this slander against me, my flock, the Diamond Dynasty, and the Holy Order. I agree to stand trial before the Holy Tribunal, but I will face them on my own land and on my terms. Patriarch Junius has already received strong support from Patriarch Luke and many priests across Archnia. Parishes of the new faith throughout the Empire are now speaking out in support of Junius Diamond. The Church of the Twin Gods is about to be rent in twain. The Inquisition has no choice but to revoke the trial in order to avert this coming schism. Their new office stands and the Patriarch Junius has been wrongfully accused, and the Holy Tribunal will now apply more cautious judgment during any future trials against the followers of the new faith. Following the teachings of Patriarch Fotis is no longer seen as heresy by the Inquisition. The trial of Junius Diamond has been averted, but the divide within the church is only deepening. New faith has directly challenged the old faith. The result is uncertain, depending on who you ask. Some say Junius Diamond all but pled guilty. Others believe the Patriarch and the alleged rebellion against the church, as well as the Inquisition, is nothing but a ruse. There are also people who think the entire situation sounds like one of the secret chancellery's dirty deeds. One way or another, the Patriarch of Vestinia and co-leader of the new faith remains at his post. But for how long? And how will the old faith and the new faith clash next? Schism. Next page. A farewell to the capital. The Reglata and Talrina rivers meet outside the city walls. You have barely left the capital since you came here all those years ago. A breeze is blowing in your face, and the bright noon sun hangs above the shining pillar. You stay, and Eterna has come to an end. You arrived here a boy, full of hopes and aspirations, driven by your family's expectations and a desire to live your life as you see fit. And now you have to leave, and this thought fills you with gentle sadness. Eterna did not become your home, and yet here you have finally found your path. Here in the capital, you became a nobleman and a judge. Now you are one of the rulers, the warriors, the pleasure seekers, the creators. Those who spill their blood for the empire, and family, and honor. Those who keep honor and age-old traditions. This is your lot now. You are to work in the prefecture of your home province as a judge. Your path to this goal was a long one, and your friend Tomas was by your side all the while. You fondly recall your walk through the streets of the Eterna, your secret fencing lessons, your heartfelt discussions. You have no doubt your future back in Anazat will be full of glory. And then you recall the black, enigmatic eyes of Octavia Melanides, an Archnean from one of the great dynasties, a woman whose beauty and majesty make you tremble. You heard she would be returning to the court of her father, the Archduke, in Magra. Will you ever see her again? You'll meet father once more. He tends to hide his feelings, but not this time. After all, you have fulfilled all his hopes and succeeded in your studies, and continued your family's noble legacy. Many things have changed back home by now. You recall your older brother Stefan. Now that you have been ennobled, you are practically equals at last. This means you should follow an old tradition and bring Stefan a gift. And so you head for the market district of Eterna. Soon you are busy trying out swords at a weaponsmith's shop. There is a lot to consider for this gift. Stefan is taller and his shoulders are broader, which means his sword must be heavier and longer. There can be no embellishments. Stefan would scoff at you if you brought him an extravagant weapon. At last you find a suitable weapon. Blackened steel, a subtle ornament of leaves on the blade, and a grip shaped like women vines. It resembles the seared soil of Magra beneath a silver tree. You choose the sheath with the same diligence. There, a light wooden frame bound in thin, yet sturdy leather will make the blade easy to draw and the buckle is sturdy enough. You leave the shop satisfied. You leave the capital the morning after. Eterna, the city where you spent 4 years, slowly disappears on the horizon. Will you ever see the capital again? You do not know. The sword, a gift for Stefan, is in your hands. Homecoming. After 4 years in the capital, you return to your home city of Anazat. The end of youth. The years of your youth have come to an end. The time has come to leave the capital behind and return to your family and new business in your hometown of Anazat. The years away from home were full of tumult and hardship. Your adult shoulders now bear the burden of your first life-changing decisions. Did you have the freedom to choose this lot for yourself, or was it your destiny all along, ever since your childhood years? All you can do now is follow the path that lies before you. The end of youth. As always, I appreciate everybody that took the time to watch and listen. I will be putting out one video a day up until, again, Horror Arkham is released on the 23rd. If it takes us a little bit longer to get through it, like let's say we're not at the end by the time it releases, one of two things is going to happen. I do have plans going through this weekend, so I'm trying to record ahead. And if I can record ahead, what I might end up doing is on that last day before Arkham Horror is released, I might release what I have remaining for the rest of this playthrough. Another note on this playthrough, I'm a lot more proud of my first playthrough, even with the outcome that I got, than I am this playthrough. There's a lot of decisions that I made in this one just out of curiosity that I probably would not have made in the first one that I did not like the outcome for. So for example, Ayla burning at the stake and then not having enough valor to stand up in the streets and say, you know, what I actually wanted to say. So I don't know if this is steering towards the ending that I would have hoped for in the first one, but I'm still curious to find out what's going to happen. Again, as always, I appreciate everybody watching. I love y'all. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Wanna get some music for this? Nope.
How long did that go?
You said 30 seconds.
How long have I been going?
10.
Am I doing it right?
I have no idea. I'm not even
Is it
watching.
31?
No comment.